Howdy y'all, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am back today with some more seed starting. It is 100 degrees today, so it is really weird to think that I am out here starting seeds for my fall and winter garden, but I am starting something that takes almost forever to grow, so it makes sense that I have to start it now. So what I'm going to be starting seeds for today, the vegetable is Long Island improved Brussels sprouts, and then I also have some flowers that I'm going to be starting. I am starting Resina Calendula, and this is the variety that has the most medicinal properties, and medicinally it's typically used for skincare issues, eczema, sunburns, chapped lips, any type of like dry skin type things. Resina Calendula, you can make an infused oil or a balm, chapstick, things like that, and they say that this helps a lot with that. So I'm going to get some more started. I have a couple of plants in my garden, but I want a little bit more. It will also add really nice, beautiful little pop of color as the temperatures cool down. And calendula is a little bit frost hardy, so in November, whenever we are expecting our first frost, whenever it kills off a lot of the other things out there, this should still hang around for a little while longer. And then the other thing that I'm going to get started today is actually a few varieties of Echinacea / coneflower, because I am wanting to start them now so that next year they should hopefully bloom and be really lovely and prolific. So I have everything ready to go, and so let's go ahead and get started. So I am using these little seed starting trays that you can get from Amazon. They're not super expensive. It was a whole bundle of like 12 of them with the water reservoir, the seed starting tray itself, and then it comes with the humidity domes too. It will also come with some labels, but as you can see, I'm just using the oh so fancy painter's tape, because since there's not like a whole ton of difference in variety going within each tray, and you know, they're going in very specific places within my garden, I'm not worrying too much about individual labels, just identifying what it is on the tray for my own record keeping, whenever it's inside on the heat mat, all of those things. It just makes it a little bit easier for me just to have that quick ID on there instead of having to read all those individual tags. Now, whenever I do my spring seed starting, whenever I'm doing a ton of different varieties, like especially with tomatoes and peppers, I will have individual labels for those. But for these, since it's multiple cells of the same thing, I'm not sweating it too much. So outside of the seed starting tray, the soil that I'm using for seed starting is Fox Farms Ocean Forest. I have tried a ton of different soils. I've tried making my own soil. I've done so many different things, and this is the thing that I like the best out of the stuff that I have personally tried. Now you can start your seeds with a seed starting mix. However, keep in mind that you will likely have to transplant that seedling very soon after it sprouts. By planting directly in the potting soil, I'm giving myself a little bit more of a cushion before I need to uppot and or transplant the plant into its next growing space. The ocean forest is an incredibly loose and fluffy mix, so the roots of those very young plants, the roots are very tender. They don't have much difficulty trying to grow and get through that soil and create really healthy root systems, and there are a ton of nutrients within the ocean forest soil. So I have never had an issue starting seeds in this soil. I have been starting seeds in it for years. No stunted seeds, nothing like that. I have tried other soils whenever I've, you know, trying to not spend so much money on soil, because that Fox Farm is a little spendy, and every time that I've done it, my seedlings have ended up stunted or they have died completely. So I'm just going to invest up front in the correct soil that works for me for soil starting, So that way I don't have to worry about that, and all my seeds will, you know, come to fruition and can be transplanted out to the garden. So the first thing that, it's really windy even though it's 100 degrees, so at least the breeze will keep it from being miserable. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to start with is actually the Brussels sprouts, because out of all of the stuff that I'm planting here, this is the most important thing because it is the food. So I'm planting 8 cells of the Brussels sprouts in this 12 cell tray. The remaining 4 cells will be calendula for that tray. Some people will recommend only planting 1 seed type per tray. However, I don't have the space for 12 of this Brussels sprout because I have another Brussels sprout that I already started indoors, and I'll give you guys a seedling update at the end of this video for the stuff that's growing inside. So I'm only going to do 12, and I think that because I'm doing the calendula, it will be okay. All the Echinacea is going in its own tray because it has different seed starting instructions, so to speak. So enough jibber jabber, Christy, let's plant some seeds. The Brussels sprouts is going to go in these 8 cells right here. So let me just get this open, and I close all my seed packs with washi tape because it's kind of resealable. You can peel it pretty well without damaging the seed packet too much. And sometimes you get a little on your finger. All right, here we go. And this is what the seeds look like. Very small, the faith of a mustard seed. Most of the brassica seeds are going to be this shape, size, and color. So I have already started other Brussels sprouts and broccoli, and those seeds look like these. And then some other brassicas that I will be starting later will also look like this. So these are going to be planted no deeper than 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to take my little pinky and just make little divots in 8 of these cells. And there we go. And this is pre-moistened soil. And I also have a bit of water in the water reservoir so that this will not dry up during the germination process. I'm planting 2 seeds per cell because my seed packs are a little bit older and I want to ensure good germination. That one kind of splattered everywhere, so see if I can get that into the middle there. All right, at this point I will just cover up the little divots that I made. And put the remaining seeds back in the packet. And the calendula actually gets planted at the same depth, so I'm just going to do the same thing with my pinky here. Where I just made little divots. And this is all that's left. That's all that's left in the seed packet, so I'm just going to put 1 per cell. And I'm going to set this packet aside so that I remember to order a little bit more. And then cover that with soil. I want to make sure it's well covered. This one is like way up at the surface. So there we go. There we go. All right, 1 tray done. Easy peasy, huh? Okay, so this is the Echinacea. All the labels are on this side. There's going to be 3 cells per Echinacea type. And the Echinaceas that I have here are the Powwow White, the typical purple Echinacea, Paradiso Mix, and Green Twister. So I just need to make sure that I plant the correct ones. Okay, so I have it in the right order, I think. Yes, so they'll be planted just like this, and seed depth 1/8 of an inch. All right, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to place the seeds on here, and then I will loosely cover the top with some more soil. And that is the Echinacea seeds if you have never seen them before. And I received these in a trade, so I'm going to plant 2 per cell on this one. As far as Echinacea goes, it's going to sit in a room that is approximately 65 to 70 degrees. My office stays that temperature, so it should be fine without going onto a heat mat. It does not want to germinate in a warmer place, unlike this tray here. Get that back in the pocket there. The next one is just the typical purple Echinacea here. Now this one is native to my area of Texas, so it should do very well in our climate here. And I've had these seeds for a little while, so I'm also going to plant 2 seeds per cell of this one. In fact, I'll probably just do 2 seeds per cell of everything, just because I want to ensure good germination. And just barely, you'll notice I'm just barely covering those with the soil here. Definitely some pre-moistened soil. There we go. All right, this Paradiso mix is very colorful, as you can see. So there we have yellow and red and pinks and purples. So this says that it is also a medicinal, helps boost the immune system. I don't know if just the traditional Echinacea, the purple one, is more effective or not, but you know, aside from the medicinal properties, I am trying to get more perennials into my flower beds. Just, you know, a little less maintenance for me as far as constantly planting things. And then it will also give a place for, you know, some of the good bugs and good beneficial things to overwinter and stuff. So I'm trying to incorporate more, like I said, perennials within my gardens. All right, so the last one is this green twister. And I've heard mixed love and hate for these. So we will see if, we will see what I think of them once I get them growing. I think that the one Echinacea plant that I do have in my flower bed in the back is a green twister. It just has not flowered yet this year. It is new this year though. I just planted it, or I just started the seeds in February maybe. Planted it out in March, so I don't expect it to flower until next year. Alright, we will get the humidity domes put on both of these. This is not going on a heat mat, but the humidity dome on here is going to keep the soil from drying out, so that the seeds remain moist and can germinate. This one is going onto the heat mat, so let's go ahead and go inside and get a little seedling update. Get this one on the heat mat and this one just on the shelf. All right, we are here in the office, and this is the bottom shelf of my metal seed starting rack. The remaining shelves have typical office happenings going on with them, so I'm relegated to the bottom shelf for the fall seed starting season, but that's perfectly okay. This one is the petunias that I started, and it only has a few that have germinated, so that's why the lid is still on it. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 12. And then this one is Brussels sprouts and blue petunia. Now you can see that most of the Brussels sprouts are starting to finally sprout here, and there are no, oh, I'm sorry, there's one little baby petunia there that has germinated. So I'm going to leave the dome on this just a little while longer to give those petunias a little bit more of a chance. This guy though, this broccoli here, almost all of the cells germinated, and some germinated with multiple little broccoli babies. So that one is off to the races. Now, originally I was starting all of these outside and just leaving them on the patio, but it is just way too hot, and I was having a hard time keeping the soil moist and just dealing with all of that stuff. So I moved it inside, and full disclosure, I did put new petunia seeds in the petunia cells, just because since I was having such a hard time keeping the top of the soil moist, I thought that maybe that was affecting the germination. So we'll give this a few more days and see what happens. Let me find, okay, so this is going to be the Brussels sprouts and the calendula. So that's gonna go right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and crack that open because that soil is ridiculously moist. I don't want it that moist, it's going to mold and get really gross in there. And then the Echinacea coneflower, that I'm going to crack open just a little bit as well, just to get some air moving in there. And I'm actually going to put it over here on this side of the shelf, over here, not on the heat mat, so that it is in a little bit cooler location, because that does best in 65 to 70 degrees for germination. Everything else does require the heat mat. So I will be able to fit 2 more of these small seed starting trays right here, and then I think before long, I need to check my dates and stuff to verify, but I think before long things will start to get transplanted out. Also, the broccoli can move over here with the echinacea soon as well, and I will bring in one more heat light to put on the left side here, just to make sure that the growing plants do have enough light in order to not get leggy. It's not really an emergency today since we're just trying to germinate these and we don't want them to get too hot, but that's something to look, that's something that I need to put on my radar, is installing the other light and moving things around as they grow. No longer need to be on the heat mat and all of that. So if you do decide to start your seeds, if you decide to start your fall, winter, spring garden from seed, the most important thing that you need to pay attention to, aside from the moisture level, is the temperature of the soil for germination. Read the seed packets, because as you saw with this video, some seeds will require a little bit cooler soil and some seeds will want to be on that heat mat. Now, once most of the seeds have germinated, you can go ahead and pull that off of the heat mat, like the broccoli in there. I can absolutely go ahead and pull off and make sure that it's underneath those grow lights. We want to make sure that the grow lights are on a good 14 to 16 hours per day. That way those plants get a good head start at life before they come out here. Whenever it is about 2 weeks before your transplant date, you want to start hardening off your seedlings. What that means is you want to get it acclimated to the outdoors. So you're gonna start by bringing the plants out into a shady place for 30 minutes, and then you're gonna take it back inside, and then the next day you're gonna bring it out and expose it a little bit to the sun, little bit by little bit by little bit, until eventually the plant is able to withstand being outdoors all day and all night, and then you can move it out into your garden. So it takes about 2 weeks to fully transition from being a totally indoor in a controlled environment plant to ready to being outdoors and in your garden and starting to grow you food. So just keep those things in mind whenever you are seed starting, because that is something that you're going to have to put into your schedule to remind yourself on. It's really easy to forget, hey, I need to move all these plants out, and if you miss a day, that means that you have to start over. Maybe the temperature is going to be 115 degrees and you decide that's going to be way too scorching hot for my Brussels sprouts. I don't want to risk the sun scald. I don't want to unalive my plants by putting them in too much heat. Then at that point you would have to start over with the 2-week transition hardening off before you did move it out into your garden. So just keep that in mind as well whenever you're scheduling when to start things, when to harden them off, when to transplant them, all of that. Other than that, that is all I have for you today. If you liked this video, please feel free to like and subscribe and do all those different YouTubey things. It's greatly helping my channel. If you are growing a fall/winter garden, comment down below with the stuff that you are growing. But until next time, go find a way to get those garden manicures. Bye!